Hello and welcome to the Watering Hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry. Okay, so yeah, that's the news items. You think we have time for the tweets today?
I think we have time for the tweets.
I think we have time for some tweets. So we're starting with Answers in Genesis. A nice Tweets classic here. We haven't done AIG in a while. But here we go. God is capable of accurately relaying his word to us in a way that we can understand, says the organization whose whole fucking thing is saying that the majority of Christians have misunderstood the book of Genesis.
Oh, boy.
Like, that's literally their whole thing. Why am I blurry? Hello? There we go.
I think it has to do with how much alcohol you've consumed. That's usually what makes things blurry.
I have not consumed that much.
Then you haven't consumed enough alcohol. Kidding.
Cheers.
You know what? Touche. You got me.
Yeah, I just like that they're posting here like, oh yeah, no, it's so super easy to understand. Everybody can understand it. It's just that our whole ministry relies on most Christians not understanding it.
They literally would not have a job at all if Christians, quote, quote, didn't understand the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
That is how they make their money, because they are a business.
Everybody in my chat is singing Paul's song.
Which one? Ham and eggs?
Yeah, ham and eggs.
Yeah.
Ham and eggs.
Ham and eggs.
I think
flip 'em, flop 'em.
I think the original version of that song was by Burl Ives, the same guy who does the songs for like the old school like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh. Neat.
Fun little bit of trivia. Oh, we got some Sargon. So first off, this Bleppenstein von Sama posted Pascal's wager in the 21st century. God may or may not be real, but the other side is so passionate, so committed to worshiping Satan, evil, homosexuality, and corrupting children that even if God wasn't real, believing in him to fend these demons off is preferable. Sargon.
Didn't this guy used to be like a poster child for internet atheism?
Yeah. And so so what I find funny here is that he posts that with a picture of like, have you seen Stranger Things?
I have, yes. This is the guy who's literally being possessed
Billy.
by a fucking demon.
That's Billy. He's possessed by a demon, but no, he's not possessed by a demon in this scene. This is from the series previous to that. He's an abusive piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is not the good guy by any stretch of the imagination. Now, there is... It does kind of both sides a little bit where he is a victim of abuse as well, and so this is just kind of like perpetuating the cycle, but he's still a piece of shit.
Hurt people, but that doesn't justify hurting people.
Yeah. And so someone, not necessarily Sargon, but I have no reason to believe it wasn't him, decided that was like an abusive piece of shit was a good image to put with this and think that made a good point somehow. But yes, also he's supposed to be an atheist. Everybody, like, he's in the atheist community, and he's now saying like, "Oh yeah, no, we should at least pretend to believe in God, so we can fight we can fight against homosexuality." Like, okay,
what does a fight against homosexuality even look like?
So in my response to Mike Winger that I'm doing, part of that had me going down a rabbit hole where he was throwing shade at rationality rules, and so I went to find the old video that it was in reference to, and in my search for that, I found Rationality Rules doing videos that included Sargon, and one of the things he said about Sargon was like, "Oh, he's clearly a leftist," but
what?
and then he said a bunch of other stuff, and it was just like, what the fuck kind of rose-colored glasses did people have on back, like, whenever the fuck this was?
Oh, I know what it would have been. It's not that Sargon was a leftist; it's that he always calls himself a classical liberal. And there are people who conflate those two a fuck ton.
Oh, but that's classical liberal is just a sleazy way of saying libertarian.
Yes, it is. I understand
Which is
that
right
because
wing.
My brain is poisoned by this space.
God damn it.
There are so the way that Sargon defines libertarian, then yes, that is right wing. There are there are anarcho-libertarians that are on the left that are a little bit different, but that's getting into the weeds of a thing that doesn't matter.
Yeah, Rosina Keller says, why did so many popular atheists end up being hateful libertarians? So that's actually part of why I have a channel in the first place, because I noticed all of the atheist YouTubers were going away from atheism and getting into, like, feminism is bad kind of territory. And, yeah, I was like, no, people still need the religion. Like, a fresh Christian, or, like, a fresh ex-Christian who needs catharsis when leaving their religion is not going to be, like, they're not going to find solace in this anti-SJW content. So I started my channel to fill that void as all the other ones left. And I came close to falling down that same rabbit trail myself, but thankfully I did not.
I was in that rabbit trail. I remember looking up old videos from Sargon and Thunderfoot back when he was doing his like anti-Anita phase. I remember looking a lot of that stuff up after me and my ex broke up years and years and years ago because I wanted desperately to confirm my biases. Like I remember being that person.
Yeah. Okay, but anyway, Dark Matter 2525 responded to this post saying, except that's not how belief works. That's how lying works. If you don't value the truth, then what good are you? So like,
ooh,
yeah, if you're going to be promoting a belief in religion just because you don't like the gays, then like, what do we even want to do with you? You want to know what Sargon replied to this with?
I have to know.
You have to know. Define woman.
What the what?
Yeah.
So he responds with a tu quoque. The bastion of logic and fallacy bingo for a decade responds with one of the most well-known fallacies of all fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I could consume this for breakfast.
Yeah,
this is just like sugary cereal.
This is just one of those, like, everything I see from Sargon is like, I remember liking his YouTube channel. I don't remember what I liked about it, but I remember liking it. And everything I've seen from him in the, like, since I stopped watching it years and years and years ago, like everything I've seen from him recently has led me to question, like, what the fuck was wrong with me that I ever had any amount of respect for this asshole?
I can tell you exactly what it was for me. It was the anti-Anita stuff. I at the time was dating somebody who was what I would have considered at the time like a Tumblrina feminist, and I wanted different things that I could use to argue against them as I got more and more jaded to them in that relationship. And Sargon fed me the exact kind of bullshit that I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
It is as shallow as that.
Yeah. All right. Well, next we have Seth Dillon, who is the CEO of the Babylon Bee. He's retweeting Justin Berkobian, who says, if Jesus is your savior, then the people on the other side of the razor wire are your neighbors. Perfectly reasonable tweet. Then Seth Dillon says, if Jesus is your savior, then anyone trying to break into your house, break into your home is your neighbor. Yes, explicitly. Like, yeah. Turn the other cheek. If someone sues you for your coat, give them your cloak as well.
Do what God intended.
Like,
even at your own expense.
Be good to the be good to the foreigner.
He's a guest in your country.
Yeah, like he's fucking correctly interpreting the words of Jesus as a joke to own the libs.
Like you remember even Jesus when was it Peter who cut off the guard's ear in front of Jesus and Jesus put it back on and was like, no, we don't do that. Yeah. That's not what we do. This person is quite literally going to kill me, but that is not the thing that is important.
Okay, I know it's almost time for Growlith to pee, and we might go a little bit late tonight, but
she's actually outside.
Oh, I gotta pee too, though, so I'm going now.
So I have to.
You have to entertain my chat.
Now. Gotcha. That's a thing that I'll do. Okay. Hi, everybody. How's it going? So remember the Good Samaritan? Yeah. Do you remember what the Good Samaritan earned for all their effort? Not a whole lot. Not really. The whole point of those stories is that it is good for goodness sake, and also because God is watching you. Like that is the point of those stories. It always has been. Just be a good person and good things will eventually come your way. But people like to misinterpret that. And they like to try to instead use the Bible to say, hey, I get to be a bigot that has a super justification. I remember dude who used to work on my computers, who I haven't talked to in a while, but his daughter started dating a Catholic. And I remember one of the weirdest conversations that I had with the person who was dating his daughter when we were all over at his house at the same time. He would justify any type of violence that was done if somebody could claim that it was in God's name. Dude was doing school for catechism and shit. And I remember being floored because his exact words were, ultra violence is okay if God ordains it. The problem is that we can never, like, even if you grant that position's true, how do you know when God's ordaining it? And how do you know when you're hallucinating? How do you verify the difference? And there can't be any, oh, I'll just know, because, oh, you'll just know during a hallucination too. Like, I'm sorry, but if you truly think that your deity is asking you to do a violence, maybe either rethink the team you're on or rethink your own perception of reality. Like, if you think that God's telling you to do good things in the world, that's fine. I don't care as much. I don't. But if your God's telling you to, like, drown that baby, then maybe don't. Maybe don't. Maybe find a new God. Or, stop believing the voices in your head.
That's no fun.
Do you have a voice in your head telling you to drown a baby?
Oh, it depends on the baby.
I guess it also depends on if you're on an airline.
No.
I guess it also depends on if you're on an airline, right?
My favorite part of editing the streams is finding out what the hell you said while I was peeing.
I'm going to start just saying random nonsense for the sole purpose.
Someone did the hats.
I'm going to start saying random nonsense for the sole purpose of giving you something strange to walk into. Like, you're going to leave and I'm just going to be like, guys, tentacle hentai.
Yeah. Tentacle rhino. Yeah, no, I actually, while I was peeing, I was thinking, I was like, you know what? I could just be a reaction streamer and, like, play someone else's video while I'm peeing. And pretend like I'm reacting to it.
You would need to use the VTuber model for that. Position it so it's staring at the video, then run away.
No, because the reaction streamers just have the empty chair on stream when they do that. And then I was like, hey, I could start a whole channel where I do that and I just react to my own videos. And my videos are getting long enough now that, I could have a pretty long break in between actually having to do stuff by just playing one of my videos.
So the chair just becomes a character on your channel permanently. The chair reacts to.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Next up. Oh, this was just a funny, somebody in one of the AI image generators typed in King David defeating the Ammonites.
Oh, I saw this.
And this is what came up, and I love it. And this is the perfect hat for that. So it's amazing.
Everything you could have ever wanted and more.
It is, yes. And then when I retweeted this, everybody was like comparing it to the Starship Troopers.
You're doing your part.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm so confused as to why the Starship Troopers discourse is even happening, because the creator of the movie has gone on record and is like, no, this is a parody.
Yeah, no, it's because some idiot posted a thread where he, like, the whole point of the thread ended up being, I can't dislike attractive people. Therefore, the propaganda worked on me, which makes it not propaganda.
No. What?
That was basically it. Like that. I'm butchering how they said, but it was basically like, if you wanted to do it as a parody or satire, then using attractive people worked against that because people inherently like attractive people and want to trust attractive people or whatever. And
Wait,
it's like,
no, that
that's
makes it work better.
That's explicitly one of the reasons why he cast only attractive people in the movie. Like that's explicitly why he did that, was to make people have that reaction. Like,
if you oh my, it's like that saying that when there's multiple Nazis in the room and you're in the room not condemning the Nazis, then there's actually more Nazis in the room than you thought.
Yeah.
If you think the propaganda doesn't work on you, congratulations, the propaganda's working on you.
Yeah, and then he was talking about how, like, oh, the streets are clean in this fascist regime, and like, it's like, oh no, you came so close to getting the point, and then he just flipped around and was like, it actually doesn't work that way though.
He's like,
because I fell for it.
It's not propaganda because I fell for it, and I uniquely am immune to propaganda.
Yeah.
Like, there is never a point in your time where you will ever truly be immune to propaganda. Like, as long as you are a Homo sapien, then propaganda will work on you to some degree, and understanding that going in will actually help immunize you to some propaganda. Recognizing that you are not a bastion of invulnerability and logic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, being able to look at something and say, wait a minute, am I falling for propaganda here?
Like, is this supposed
that's a good
to work
way
on
to
me?
like, because then sometimes the answer for that will be yes, at which point you can then go, oh, so I don't want to just believe this.
Yep. It's sad because it sounds counterintuitive when you tell that to just a random person. But no, if you've looked at how human beings generally respond to stimuli, this is a normal thing. We tend to be more prepared for something if we think that there is a likelihood of it happening. You are more prepared to deal with a fight if you are worried that a fight might happen. You are more prepared to run if you are bracing yourself to fucking run. You are more prepared to inoculate yourself against propaganda if you accept that you might need inoculation from propaganda.
Mm-hmm. And that's how we got there. That's where we ended up from looking at a picture of King David defeating the Ammonites, because ChatGPT was too stupid to realize the Ammonites were a biblical tribe and not the animal Ammonites. Anyway, we have a case orbs. So Representative Justin Jones, who, if you don't remember, he's the guy that got kicked out of the state Congress, essentially for being black. And then he ended up working his way back in. I forget the details, but like, it was a big deal when it happened. And he said he just left an event honoring black sorority and spoke of the need to unite against the rising tide of white supremacy, only to be confronted by Nazis marching through downtown Nashville. He then had a video of there was a group of Nazis who were marching down through downtown Nashville. They were wearing full face masks. They had the swastika flags. They were doing the salute.
We will not replace us.
Yeah. And my favorite video of that event was there was one guy who recorded it that, like, he was walking with them and yelling at them, why are you wearing masks? Why are you covering your faces? Why are you afraid to be seen in public?
And the meat and stuff. When I'm done with this part on Rhino's stream, we'll figure something out.
Okay, I think we're almost done, so you'll get to go soon.
Okay. And then I'll be popping back on my own stream as well, but I just got to figure out food stuff for Saki.
Yeah. So in response to Justin Jones tweeting a video of these Nazis wearing face masks that covered their whole face, he retweeted that saying, "Man, those racists seem totally unbothered with you filming, almost like as if this is a stunt, or almost as if they have their fucking faces covered." Like, how stupid do you have to be?
Well, if you are Kevin Sorbo, then you already are as stupid as one can be.
That's fair.
You're already there.
That is quite fair, yeah. But yeah, like it's such an easy. Every time he says something, the answer is just so fucking easy. And yeah, Monorail saying, just like the KKK. Where is that? I always forget to just switch my YouTube chat from top chat to live chat. I don't know why it defaults to top. Stop typing things.
It's insecure, so it defaults to thinking it's a top.
Sure. Monorail says just like the KKK, go figure. Yeah, it's always been this way, that the racists are afraid to be seen in public. They know that being a racist, it makes them a bad person, so they don't want to be identified.
Falcon fan says they're covering their faces because they're feds. Occam's razor, actually. Which do you think is more likely? There's a federal governmental conspiracy to pretend there's Nazis everywhere, or that some people don't want to lose their jobs for being racist? Which do you think is more likely?
Occam's razor is not about which is more likely. It's about which involves the fewest unnecessary assumptions.
Right.
So
the conspiracy requires more unnecessary assumptions.
Yeah. So like assumption number 1, racists exist, and they know that being identified as a racist is going to cause them problems in their life. The other version of that, like if they're feds, they still have to deal with, like, if they are identified there, then people will see them as racists. Let me just try and put my hair down here because I look ridiculous. That's not happening. Whatever. So yeah, they still have to deal with the, like, oh, someone might identify me and then see me as a racist, because like it's not going to be like high level feds. It's going to be like, if it was an operation by the FBI, they're probably like low level agents or just paying random people, essentially hiring actors.
Also, I'm so Falcon fans also going on about how there's not Nazis all around the police force. I'm like, well, hold on. Which is it? The police force that is government funded is or is not full of Nazis, or the feds, which are government funded, are trying to convince us that there are Nazis in the police force? Like, but this is such a weird stretch of budget required.
Yeah. Yeah, but like my point is that for it to be feds, there are additional assumptions that are just completely unnecessary. Like, could it be like, yeah, the American government has done some pretty shady shit in the past that has involved some pretty weird operations. So
like we've done MK Ultra, we've done shit like that.
So it's not impossible that it's feds. It's just not very likely. And Occam's razor would have us just believe that it's just normal racist people that don't want to be identified, because those are things that we know that exist for sure.
So trying to drum up fake racism, for what purpose though? Like in this scenario, for what purpose?
Well, so that Representative Justin Jones could tweet about how horrible it is that after speaking about how bad white supremacy is, he came out to see a bunch of white supremacists. So that gives him more leverage and gets more Democrats elected. Because Joe Biden is the most powerful person ever, except when he's a weak, doddering old fool.
Except when he's the weakest person in the world.
Yeah.
He is simultaneously both.
Yeah, so Emerson Green says, people do not need to read philosophy. What we need is good reasoning and thinking. For example, natural theist said an argument, said, what cannot fail to exist exists necessarily. God cannot fail to exist. Therefore, God exists necessarily.
So wait a minute. We don't need to study philosophy, but here's this syllogism, which is only a word you'd understand if...
Yeah, and also, like, necessary means something different in philosophy than it does in common parlance. So you would have a different understanding of what it means for something to exist necessarily. What God is a philosophical argument. So, like, yeah, in order to understand the syllogism, and even that it is a syllogism, you need philosophy. But also, like, let's grant premise 1. I take issue with premise 2. Why can God not fail to exist?
There's nothing. So there was an old thing that I used on my channel years ago, where I would talk about, let's say, for instance, that there were two deities that created the world. So we have not a monotheism, but a polytheism, and those two deities, as a result of creating the world, either killed each other or spent all of their power creating the universe as we know it. So now we live in a world where there are no deities, but deities created it. There is nothing in definitions of God at all that say that they cannot cease existing at some point, even if we have creator deities. All that we care about with like a creator deity is they can make a thing appear often out of nothing. That is the only thing that matters there. Now, we're talking about the Bible specifically. Yeah, sure. The Bible tells us that God can't cease existing and he was always there, but we're also supposed to believe that the Bible was written by God, or at the very least informed by God. And what was that one thing in Rick and Morty where Freddy Krueger was chasing them and he said, you can run, but you can't hide. And Rick just went, yeah, of course, the guy who's trying to kill us would tell us we can't hide from him. Why would we believe that?
I don't remember that.
I didn't know you'd watch Rick and Morty.
I have watched the first few seasons. I think Pickle Rick was the last season that I watched.
Okay, so season 3.
Yeah.
I don't remember when Freddy Krueger's episode was, which season that was in. I remember it was around the time that Rick started becoming a lot less of an ass to Morty. Said Old Fact says that's in the first season. Oh, okay. Well, then. Huh.
I just remember giggling when I found out that the sentient fart cloud was voiced by the same guy who did Tamatoa and Moana. But yeah, and then we get Wendell, because he's back on the table. Who says dismissing God because of suffering in the world is like saying you'll never appreciate a beautiful sunrise because of the darkness of night.
Yeah, but so the difference is the darkness happens due to an absence of the sun, whereas God would be the exact cause of the suffering and also the good.
Okay.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be that way. Like the sun exists.
Let's kind of play with this for a second. So in this hypothetical, the darkness of night is evil, the beautiful sunrise is good. So if the darkness of night is equivalent to like something like baby cancer, I'd be perfectly happy going the rest of my life without ever seeing another sunrise again if it meant no more babies got cancer. Like,
that's the reason why I think the problem here is that they're assuming that the world with suffering as we understand it was a necessary prerequisite for the world as we understand it to exist. But they simultaneously believe that their God is all powerful and all knowing.
And will create a realm in the end that has zero suffering and free will somehow.
Which means we know that that is within his power as far as that lore is concerned. So if it is within God's power to create this world where ass cancer and rape don't exist, then why do we have this current world with ass cancer and rape? Why do we need the world we are in right now to be this way? Why must that be the case?
I know this is a stupid thing to get hung up on, but I like that the examples you chose could have had the ass substituted either way. So there's ass cancer and rape, or there's ass rape and cancer. So yeah, just
my brain Wikipedia'd it.
There's just it's fascinating to myself, the things that I find fascinating sometimes.
Yeah. God of bad excuses.
Yeah, Donald says, but original sin makes no sense. Like, the whole idea that God created Satan, knowing what Satan would do, and that, like, okay, Satan tempted Eve into eating the fruit. What would have happened if Satan wasn't there? Like, would Eve have still eaten the fruit eventually? God damn it with the hats.
Reminds me, did you finish Hazbin Hotel already?
No, I haven't finished. What do you mean already? Still fucking working on the Owl House.
It's an 8-episode show. It's much smaller.
Okay, I've watched 2. But we have to watch the Owl House because my kids have all seen the Owl House and they're like, I want you to watch the Owl House so we can talk about it. Yeah. So like we've been watching.
Look, my chat has been just inundating me with Hootie lately. So
I like Hootie.
Eldritch Abomination.
I wouldn't want to live with Hootie, but I enjoy Hootie in the show. No, I think the last episode we saw was the one where Hootie was trying to help everybody.
I need to sit down and watch that show eventually.
Oh, you haven't watched it at all?
I haven't watched it at all.
Okay.
I'm currently in the middle of One Piece, and I'm episode 580, so I've got about 420 more to go.
Okay, well, that's why I'm not in Has Been Hotel yet, because I'm still in the middle of Owl House, and like 3 seasons of a show is the equivalent of 400 episodes to me with the rate that we go.
That's completely understandable. You said you're literally still in the middle of One Piece. Yes, the time skip just happened. I'm in Fishman Island. I'm in the part where they get to go, look at how strong all the Straw Hats have gotten. There is no plot progression in this particular season. This is just to watch them style on everyone.
Did you see the thing on Twitter where somebody made like AI art of One Piece stuff? And then one of the animators from One Piece commented on how bad it was. Mm-hmm. And then the guy who made the AI art replied with like, "Oh, well, what do you know? You've never created any art." And then he
my God.
And so he got to have that moment where he's like, "Well, this is my name in the credits of the show that you tried to copy."
Jesus Christ.
Like, I want to say that's worse than the time that I got into the argument with Dunning.
The Dunning-Kruger. You're not an artist. I literally made the thing you're plagiarizing.
Yeah. Okay. I think Wendell's our last tweet. Yes, Wendell is our last tweet.
We ended on Wendell.
Yeah, we had case
we endled on Wendelled.
We endled on Wendelled. So yeah, that's the show for today. We're only 12 minutes late. We did 5.5 stories.
I would say we're either getting better at this, or the reality is we just understand now that Kevin Sorbo isn't worth our time.
I mean, I also skipped a good chunk of a couple of the stories.
Fair.
So there's that. Yeah, so God help you, because I sure can't.